May 28th, 2021. It is just approaching a holiday weekend, and so I'm not sure what to expect here, but I have a feeling that being that a lot of people are taking a short day, that we might see some movement here because it's a great time for a little lower volatility to move the market. But we are approaching the last bit of untested supply here, the last stronghold of any remaining possibility of shorts in this market after a rally of almost 600 ticks here and really a larger 1,000 tick bullish move here. So definitely bullish coming into the morning. I just missed a long off of an expectation to come up and take out this overnight high. We have this structure here, this the last bit here, but there's some nice possibility to move into testing that this last bit of, and that's at the 67.80 area. So definitely like the longs here. We had this push down at about 515, kind of a last spike down and right into this low volume area here on this double distribution from the overnight session here. We are opening, well, we're not opening yet, but we are trading above value in range still, but at the very top of range. So hard to not jump in on this because I really feel like it's going to move after we got this little false break and this imbalance push up. I tried to get on the long here at 24 and price just never came back. 24 because where do I put my stop? I need to put my stop here down below 14, and anywhere else it's just too wide. So if I'm grabbing the highs here, I have a 15 tick stop and I'm just not comfortable with that. And now we are above all of the structure here, so I could potentially get back in on a trade to the top side of this structure, and that's definitely more on the breakout pullback style trade. But this is definitely likely to go this overnight high, and now we're already challenging that. We're about 30 minutes prior to the open. Bullish all the way here, and I can say that with conviction. There goes the overnight high. So dang, I just missed that. That's frustrating because that would have been a beautiful one and done for Friday, and now I just have to stare at it. So nice chunky volume coming in here, but we can see this is where I got that clue, this increase in volume here, and this is where I wanted to try to get into a long trade here to break these highs to the left. I just didn't get any opportunity after I thought about here just hitting market here around 28, but then again, that puts my stop at that 15 tick range, which I'm just not comfortable with. So it's all right. We'll continue to watch and see what happens, but frustrating to have the context read just dead nuts on and not be able to join the party. So all good for now. So after missing that nice little run up, and now we've high ticked the overnight high, but I still think we have some opportunity to the upside. Let's see if we can get back in this thing before it has a chance to break these highs and push higher. We do have a little bit of trouble here at the 41, so I'll be managing this pretty tight, but I did take a long off of this move down here, increased volume coming in here back to the structure. So I'm going to give it a shot. Need it to go here, but I definitely could see this coming down and spiking these lows, but we'll see what happens. Definitely a bit of an uncomfortable trade, being that my whole long concept was from much lower earlier, but I feel like I'm willing to take a risk here, and I feel like we have a lot of upside potential here. Will that happen before I get spiked out in any flush of liquidity? It's hard to say, but I'm willing to take that risk. Stop down below here just in case we do get that flush lower, but I'd really rather have it just go from here. As always, we'd always just rather have the trade immediately go in our favor, but I'm going to give it a shot and be willing, because the upside potential on this trade is pretty big. Where am I looking? I'm really looking more to even on the daily here, way back from March. And supply could come in anywhere in between this area, but I'll be looking to manage it at least into the 50 for plus 20 on at a minimum, and a flush of the overnight high that's recently been put in here. So chopping around here. This is kind of accepted price at this point. There's definitely an increase in volume and interest in this area, but again, wouldn't be surprised at all if this spikes down to flush any kind of liquidity here to pull in some additional shorts after this high that was made. But I'm going to give it a shot. And this is massively uncomfortable because there's a good chance that this can come lower and take me out. But I'm going to hold on to it. We really need a imbalance push up here above this area, and then I'll feel more comfortable. But sometimes you gotta be comfortable in the discomfort. But sometimes you just get that feeling, though, I'm just kind of entering in a choppy balance area here, which is definitely, you can make the case for that. We've pulled back to this volume here, and now we're just in balance. And being that we've high ticked the high, makes this a little bit more of a questionable trade. But I'm in it to win it, and I'm going to hold on for now. We are also only about 10 minutes before the open, so volatility is going to definitely increase, and we're going to see a spike one way or the other. Hopefully I can be in my favor and I can get the risk off of this trade. And there we go. Nice little 9-tick loss to start the session, start the morning off right. But I just thought it was worth a shot. So we'll see now here what happens when we test down below these lows. But see, the issue with that is that this is exactly what I would expect and anticipate is a push below these lows to spike out this liquidity. So it's really unfortunate. So better option would be to wait for this liquidity to be tested and then an imbalance up higher. But just because I'm constantly looking to get spiked out on these things, so, or I guess I took a -7 on that one. Tried to take a long right off the open here, and I got spiked out on this volume for a nice big 12-tick loss, and then I entered again above the volume here at a 24, and then we had a nice little push into the 39. So this really needs to hold here, this volume. Would have liked to have seen it go, of course, but it doesn't always work that way. So I like my position here. Am I going to survive a pullback? I don't know. It's not looking likely. Going to have to get a little bit lucky here. But my entry is right around this volume, but I don't want to see, after a push up above these highs here, I don't want to see another test down below, because I'll be looking for a re-entry if that were the case. But I want my risk off, especially starting down 2 trades now, down a considerable amount, 19 ticks I think I'm down, so not a good start. But I still have conviction in the bulls here, and we'll see what happens when we get back into this to test this volume. But I'm really looking for a larger move to take out and flush this liquidity. It's kind of blue sky above there up into the 80s, so but we have untested supply above this area, so really anything could happen. So as usual, I'll look to manage it at plus 20 at that 45, see how we handle, which is a little bit of a precarious spot because I'll be coming into the 50 round number. There's a big offer at 160, but that's usually always the case. So if that trades, if all of that trades through, we're likely to see a little bit of a pullback. So I'll try to lock in something without getting taken out on a pullback. But this is the kind of trade that you love to be in, in at 24, way up at 40 now, looking for the expansion and the takeout of the overnight high at the 49, and then possibly a flush higher and a move. Will we find fresh supply above here? Anything could happen. It's definitely possible. And we don't have a whole lot of structure, being that, got to go all the way back to this daily to see any kind of structure really above. But that also supports a nice expansion, the ability to, if the bulls are in control, it supports an expansion move higher, so which means and equates to a big move. So I'm going to make sure that, I give my target plenty of room. 86 is really the next identified area that I have anywhere here. So, and where is that? It's way back here. Some of these untested. So I guess 68.44. I mean, we're way far away from that. So hard to find a good target here, being that prices, that's such an old area of price. But right now I'm loving it. So 172 on the offer at 67.50. I have a feeling that will likely trade, being that we already came to 67.49 as the overnight high in the pre-market. But there's also, there was quite a bit of volume here, but not a real strong high the way that it put in that high. Not a real strong rejection. So there it goes. That just traded to the 67.50s. All of that traded. Now we have some size coming in, but 350 contracts traded at 67.50, and we're moving higher here. So now I'll be looking to lock in the 20 here, but I also don't want to just get nicked out on a pullback. So, but it looks like it's going to trade and move higher. So I'm going to let this run, just because I want to have a document of how I kind of, I manage this trade emotionally and sitting through the discomfort. But I would love it to just rip higher here and take out this area. We can see quite a bit of volume coming in here now, which is to be expected at that 60.50 and above the overnight high. But I really want to give this a little bit of room, but I got to lock in something here. So if we can hold above this volume, that would be awesome. But I would also expect, if the bulls are strong, that this area will hold from above. But we're seeing some really large compression coming in here too. So just going to hold it and hope I get a little bit lucky here and see where price goes. Just taken out at 41, so that was just a huge amount of volume coming in there at the highs there. That was a 17 tick trade. Still puts me down on the day, unfortunately, after a real nice trade. Hard to lock in 20 there, being that 20 was 44 right around here. So, but we can see here like 2,000 contracts put in here at the highs here. So definitely a seller coming in here. I am expecting that we'll probably come back up and test this once again. That's very likely. But, sometimes you're just like, dang, why can't it just do it, rip higher? But that was definitely very, very significant. The largest volume. I mean, we just opened, but so now this is the discomfort of going to 52, which was nearly 30 ticks, and now having to come back and sit through pullbacks, and this is where price is likely to go. We could see price, anywhere in here. And then now, what do you have? You have the highest volume, this really, really large supply coming in here above. So that is a little bit of a challenge for the longs. Do we get back up here, probably trade it and move higher? Definitely possible. So here's the issue with holding through pullbacks, especially when we see this kind of volume coming in, because we have come all the way back to 26, which is my entire trade gone. So 30 ticks in equity if I would have held through that. Nearly 30, taking 17 looks pretty dang good now. It's just sometimes difficult to manage, but when you see this kind of volume coming in and a flush above this, somebody's taking all of this liquidity here. Is it profit taking? Who knows? Is it building a short position? Is it that one time frame large seller that was previously here that stepped in and started this 1,000 tick move down? Definitely possible. I don't know. But this is all untested supply here, above here. We can see also that somebody was stepping in here. Stepped in here, stepped in here, stepped in here, and now stepping in again on large volume. It doesn't, we can see here on the 15, it's a little bit more clear, but every time we come up into this area, we've been smacked down and sold down pretty hard. So to me, I'm a little bit cautious now. I would go up and try to take a long if I get some kind of setup and structure down here, but trading back into the highest volume of the session here, trading back long into that, we definitely have some issues with that trade. So I'm not saying my context has changed to the short side, but if the bulls were super strong here, I would think that we would have flushed here hard and continued on. So a little bit ambiguous at this point. So my mind is kind of thinking, well, if we can't push higher into some kind of range expansion, we tested above yesterday's range. So where are we likely to go? Well, obviously right around the point of control, which is right where we're sitting at the 67.30 right now. Another thing to mention is, look at this point of control touch. This is a naked or virgin point of control from way back when, and it respected it to the tick before selling off. But anyway, so now this low volume area is a major area to watch for a price flip. So also to use as a target if there is any kind of short setup down, to trade into the 67 round number. If we get down to this, likely we'll see some kind of retrace back to the point of control before a move down. But this has all been tested now. Also definitely demand here. But then we have this naked point of control here, which is also untested demand down at the 66, 62. Then value here, and then a major area of balance here. This range that we were in forever at the 66.50. So, but that's a little ways off for now. So now in a little bit of a tough spot here definitely for the shorts, because now we've already taken out this low, flushed this liquidity here, and come down back into, now we're sitting right around the point of control for the trade. So we're stuck between two concepts here, for me anyway. Highest volume of the day above, but a rejection of these lows, which you could see is a possibility of a failure to come back up and test this area, this high tick here, the volume here. And so if this was fairly significant volume coming in here, below here, that stepped in at these lows. So showing that there definitely are buyers here. Who's in charge? Hard to say. Coming into a holiday weekend, maybe we're just gonna start just chopping around and get stuck in this imbalance here. Hard to say. I have no idea, but likely here I'm going to be watching to see if we move back up into this volume. But if the shorts were in charge after flushing this liquidity, we shouldn't be back up above the point of control here, and vice versa. If the bulls were really strong, with why the fight with this large seller stepping in here? So a little bit of a challenge. So for me, meaning until there is new information coming in here, I really don't have much to do here. Oh, this is getting exciting. When you start getting that jitters on which direction are you going to pick here, but I still don't have much conviction either way. This was a pretty nice imbalance lower. Some large volume put in here, but with that said, we can easily come back up here and reject this imbalance here. We can hold also, obviously, hold this volume and flush these lows again. We do have structure down below here, but like I mentioned earlier as well, this low volume node here is a major area of unfair price. So this would be a target or an area looking to hold here. So if I can get some kind of setup. But at this point, I don't really have much to do. I tried a short at 67.02 and got spiked out on this push up again here, and I'm trying it again. So see if I'm a glutton for punishment or if I can get this going, but frustrating day. I feel like my read is good. My target on this is going to be down to the 60 to the point of control. And if I can just keep from getting chopped up here, and that's the question. So there's definitely some demand here, but this has also been tested. So my target here is down into this untested demand here, down here at the 60 or the point of control. So see if we can get it going. Keep getting chopped up, taking a win and then more losses, and it's just not very productive. But I think I need to be a little bit more patient, but then with patience also comes getting left behind on trades. So now I'm in the 66.99, right at the round number, super uncomfortable area of possibility of turning into balance and getting chopped. But so this is not looking good. I just say bottom line, I'm just wrong on this trade. I've moved my stop up to basically 14 ticks of heat on this, which is way outside of my risk tolerance and my expectancy. And we've had this large volume here coming up. So now it's just basically down to getting lucky, dropping below this volume, but this is just chop now. And I don't see that there's any edge here. So probably expecting a full loss here. But I'm in this trade, so trying to put my stop somewhere where it's manageable to hold up. This large compression here coming in is good if we can get a push down below it. If we can't get a push below it, this trade is 100% done. Either my read is right or it's not, but I can still get chopped up on this trade. Not happy how I'm trading today, but if my context is right, then I'm going to be okay. But being in this area here of balance, it's a little bit difficult to say. We have some nice lows that can go here all the way down through this flush if we can survive, but not real comfortable. Poorly managed as well to take 14 ticks of risk on this trade. It's just a bad execution. And when I got taken out on my first one, and then we had this push down here, I wanted to see if I could get back in without getting left behind. So this fear, that fear of missing out, rather than just sitting on my hands and letting the market show me what's likely to happen here. But we're staying below that volume now, which is good. That's where I really need this to hold up. And we are going to see one way or the other whether or not my context read is correct and we're likely to sell off. We do have some volume here at the lows, some fairly significant volume here, but I think it's the downside is more likely than the up. 11 tick loss, just getting chopped up. That was nothing more than a freaking coin flip, so pretty piss poor. On this last push-up, I had put my stop at 11 to 67.10. My entry was 99. It came up to take me out to the tick. So obviously one thing is we're going to break one way or the other. So no idea at this point. So I'm just going to sit out. So this is the imbalance push that I was hoping for. So looking back, if I'm going to be trying to take this trade, where am I wrong on this trade? I'm not really wrong on this trade anywhere below the highs here, or this whole entire balance range. And so that's way up at 13, 14. I need to put my stop above there. So trying to manage it too tightly in a choppy little range like this is just asking for, more losses, and that's exactly what I got. Okay, so sitting at 4 losses on the day, 1 win, and this is super important that I talk about this because now we've broken down my context read was correct. And will it get down to my target? I don't really know. We need to hold this low side, but the most important thing is I took 2 losses, almost 20 ticks in losses here, 66.09 and a 6610. And that's completely insignificant to this area holding. Like I mentioned before, I have to stop trying not to lose. It's just killed me today, the last 2 days. I'm trading so poorly now that my context read is just right on. And I took 20 ticks in losses being correct on my read, rather than taking potentially at least a 20 tick winner here, 77. And I expect this to move lower. And my longs here in the morning as well. This one was a little bit early in through here, but very frustrating. Like Kelly says though, how frustrating is it? Because I keep doing it. I'm just not confident enough to say that my read is good enough that I can trust my trades. And that's again, what was I doing? Putting a stop above every little freaking minor bar high. That's not how you trade. That's not how this works. And this is how you get exploited, because that's exactly what happens, because the market hunts for liquidity. So what happens when we move above these highs? Flush them to pull in more liquidity for the opposite side. And I'm the sucker on the opposite side. So until I decide to stop being the sucker, I guess I'll continue to lose and be a sucker. But I don't want to be a sucker, obviously. But it seems maybe I do. I mean, it's so obvious that this area, my stop needs to be up here somewhere. So I need to trust my conviction that my read is correct, or start taking more aggressive trades. If I like the short trade here, take an aggressive short down anywhere in here rather than waiting for it to break down below here and some kind of mediocre entry here. At least here I can take a short at the top of the zone, even smaller stop right here, and it's much easier to manage as well. I'm long here for the 83. We had this failure of the lows here, which coincides definitely confluence with these lows in this demand zone here. So I like the long try up into some untested supply here at the 03. That'll get me about 20. I could see definitely the top of this zone going as well and coming higher, but into the 19, which would be a real nice win, but I'm not going to hold on for that, being that volume is already getting pretty light. So I don't expect enough volatility to get that move going. So we'll see if I can get it up into that 03. I think that is definitely likely. We have weak top here, weak high, double top here, and then just going to be probably getting stuck back in this balance here. But I'd like to see if we can get into this 03. What I don't want to see is that now we're kind of chopping around into the point of control here and could be stuck between this upper side of range and this lower balance here. But I'm going to give it a shot, give it a little room to work. And as far as expectations and possibilities, nothing has happened here. So a retrace down to 89 is possible. To hold these tops here is meeting my expectations. So nothing to do here. No reason to take this trade off other than just trying to lock in some profit, which is reasonable, but being with the day that I had, I'm going to try to hold on for trading to targets, which is this 04 here. I'm just not really sure this day has much more to give, but we'll see. I may be asking for more than is available, but it's worth a shot. I just got taken out at 01, and lesson of this is that I should have just put it in at my target at 03, which was into this supply. And yeah, it's only 2 ticks, and we went to 06, but I'll take it. 18 ticks is nice. But yeah, again, I know I can trade well. I do trade well. I do trade very well, and my context is right. I nail these trades time and time again, but I just have that monkey, that fear monkey that keeps gnawing at me, and I'm so sick of it. As Kelly says, I will stop doing it once I'm so freaking sick of it that I can't take it anymore, and I'm getting really close to that area because I crush it. I hit these big, nice, profitable trades. My read is really, really on the majority of the time, and I nail it, and then I take 20 ticks and losses on being right on shorts here, which would have been another 30 ticks or so. So that's so sick, so stupid. Why would I do that? Because I'm trying not to lose, which guarantees that I'm a freaking loser, and I'm sick of it. So I'm going to stop doing it. I have been thinking every day, thinking, not trying not to lose, looking, where is the opportunity? It's not to hesitate. Stop being a loser.